Later, if during the period there was something that you want to ask, you can still go ahead and post them. Okay, so we're trying to reach Mrs. Adom, and then we'll get back to you. But you can start posting your questions and your comments in the chat room. Okay, so we are still trying to reach Mrs. Adom, but there's a question here. Does where one finds love, for example, matter? For example, can one go on popular TV show date rush to look for love? Okay, so that's the question. Mrs. Adom will come in, but those of us here, that's a question to us. Does it matter where you find love? Can it be in the church, or if you go somewhere and anybody who has a comment? Yes, I can't see any hand. Anybody wants to make a comment? Does it matter where you find love? Is there a hand? Does it matter where you find love? Okay, so if I'm not seeing anybody's hand, I'm going to have to volunteer somebody. So in first, KT is there. KT, And then, Michael Drew, I'll have your comments. So, KT, what do you think? Does it matter where you find love? Okay, and there are people here in the church auditorium also. So, we'll take your views. Does it matter where you find love? KT,
Hello. Hello, Adam.
yes, KT, go ahead.
Does it matter where we find love? Uh, you know, usually we don't go out um like searching for love. Like you meet people randomly and does it matter? I mean, it depends on the kind of places you visit, you go. Okay, so um I think it does. I wouldn't want to find love just anywhere. Okay, so you want to go to places where you find people who are, um, I mean, who are good or who meet your like the kind of person you want to meet. Okay, so say you go for church programs, you go
So, KT, you think that it doesn't matter where
for
you find love?
outdoor. Yes, it does. It doesn't really matter, but I mean, you don't want to meet someone at places that are not proper. Okay, but I mean to a large extent it doesn't matter. If I can put it that way.
Okay,
I
KT,
mean,
let's hear you. Yes, Chichi, Michael.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm walking to the church house, so um, pardon me with the noise, but the background noise. I think I'll depart from Katie's submission. Katie says that it doesn't really matter. I think it does. And so, if if I'm if I'm looking for a godly person, there are places I will meet a godly person. Any kind of person I am looking for, or one is looking for, there are places that you are likely to meet such people. And so, yes, you you wouldn't want um, a godly person, and then say you find that person in a club. That's a mismatch, in my candid opinion. And so, where you find your love, I think, is important as anything.
Yeah, okay. Yes, Ken has a hand here.
um,
This is to everyone. It's just like a company who has an identity or
Press
brand.
star 1 to copy this call.
So they want a certain people to come and work and maintain that brand. So where they choose their workers, where the behavior and the cultural setting of their workers matters to them. So where to find love really matters. Here you're talking about influence. So the environment that you fetch your wife has a greater impact in the aftermath of your relationship. It's not for nothing when Abraham asked Eliezer to go to his motherland, look for a woman for Isaac. And it has a lot of implications because the lady has gone through a certain line of orientation. So going to build upon it will be very easy. People rubbish it they pay dearly for it. People are careful and they respect it. They get results. But at the end of the day, somebody will also say that you can get somebody at the teasing. You can get the marriage to end on rock. The same way you can get somebody from the club or maybe from the non-Adventist. Will be very excelling. So human beings are very adaptive. So somebody can get somebody from outside. You'll be so excelling. Somebody will within the Adventist self. It will also be very problematic. But in all situations, where to choose a partner is of great importance. In every industry, in every organization, where they select their personnel is of great interest. Just like marriage to looking for a partner, where you get them is also great interest. I think to a large extent, God will direct us because He will come find. It is not easy. And looking for personnel to fill vacancies is not easy, but through your God is our leading, and God will be our strength to help us to find the appropriate partner for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ken. So basically what we're saying is that love can bite you from anywhere, but if you are actively looking, then you have to be looking from somewhere else. You have to be decided on where you're looking. You don't go to where you go is the kind of people that you know are going to be there, and therefore you search for it. But love can bite you from somewhere else, where you're not expecting. Love can bite you. Yes, Joseph, I see your hand up. Mr. Abedebo. Yes, Joseph, I can see that you're speaking, but we can't hear you.
Thank you. Happy
Happy day.
Hello?
Please go ahead, Joseph.
Okay, all right. So, in my opinion, in the Christian context, where you meet your love is very important. Therefore, it matters. Looking at the example that Bernard cited, for me, if where you want to find your love is there a place that God will be happy that you are there at that particular moment? If it is, then I don't see a problem with it. But if it is a place where God would not be happy that you are there, then I think it's a no-no. Because even with the example that he cited, I don't think that a Christian should indulge in such activity. So it is important. Where you find your love is an important aspect that you are going to find. So we need to bear that in mind. Else, we'll be going around so many places looking for love. Places that people in the secular world will go. And as a Christian, we are not supposed to do that. And because we want to find love, we're going to places, going to the clubs, going to that TV program, just to go and look for love. There are several avenues which are godly, that God will approve of, that we can find love. So for me, it is very important where we find love. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Right. So what I'm seeing from the various discussion points is that it is important where you find love. When you are looking, it is important where you find love. Yes, Bernard, Papo, I see Papo's hand up. Please go ahead. Happy day, Chief.
So we are asking, what if you find your love somewhere? Not all places are godly places. Some places might be, let's say, at the beach. You may end up. But my question is, sometimes,
for example, happening over there,
fine,
fine,
you
you
wouldn't
wouldn't
find
find
yourself
yourself
there,
there,
but
but
their
their
families
families
normally
normally
go
go
have
have
fun. Is,
so
our
our
question
question
is it
is it
okay to
okay to
tell us
tell us
which
which
places, the
places, the
ungodly
ungodly
places?
places,
Tell us the
tell us
ungodly
the
places.
ungodly
We
places,
also
so we
know
also know
which place.
which place are.
Sorry, Babu, I didn't get your question. So, can you go by your question again, please?
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
if you
can you,
can
if you
hear
can
me,
hear me,
okay.
okay.
All I'm
All I'm
asking is,
asking is,
um,
um,
we would
we
want
would
to
want to
know
know
the
the
ungodly
ungodly
places,
places,
okay,
okay,
where
where
you don't
you
have to
don't have to
find
find
yourself
yourself
to
to
find your
find
love.
your love.
Can you
Can
give
you give
examples and
examples and
important? But there
important?
are
But
lots
there are
of
lots of
ungodly
ungodly
places.
places.
So if you
So
can
if you can
explain further
explain
to
further to
us,
us
which like ungodly
like
places,
ungodly
because
places, because
most people
most
go
people
to
go to
restaurants and
restaurants
so
and
on.
so on.
But someone
But
will
someone
also
will
tell
also
you
tell you being at some
restaurant is an
restaurant is an
ungodly
ungodly
place.
place.
Someone
Someone
will tell
will
you,
tell
okay,
you,
I'm
okay, I'm
only going
only
there to
going
buy
there to
food.
buy.
So,
So,
so if
so
someone
if
can
someone can
explain to us
explain
the
to us the
ungodly
ungodly
places,
places,
for
for
example, the
example,
beach
the
as
beach as
well,
well,
the
the
beach,
beach,
Labadi Beach
Labadi
and
Beach
so
and
on,
so
are these
on, are
places
these places
ungodly?
ungodly?
Okay, so I mean, defining ungodly is a very is an interesting question. You know, because I think one of the speakers earlier said, is it a place where you think you find Christ there? Will Christ meet you there? You know, so if you are actively looking, then you will be careful where you go. But you know, beach, I'm not too sure if the beach is an ungodly place. I don't think it, or the restaurant would be an ungodly place. There isn't, I don't know what the definition is. My question will be, what about online? Okay, can you find love online? Can you do online dating and things? That would be what I would ask. Defining ungodly places is a difficult, tricky one to ask. Maybe a disco, you as a Christian may not find yourself in a disco. You may not find yourself in a beer bar where you are drinking your head off. And therefore, if you go to a beer bar and you go drink your head off and come home with a man or a woman, that could be a problem. You know, you wake up in the morning and wondering, hey, your name today. Do you get? So that is a different matter. But my question would be, what about online? Can you go online dating and find a man or a woman online, and you think that would be a good place to find a partner? I've seen KT's hand is up. After that, Ken, there's a few hands here in the auditorium. All right. So before KT,
applications and areas now that you can easily find love. One example is the reality shows. There's one popular one now called Date Rush. Can a 7-day Adventist looking for love go and say, okay, this is an opportunity for me to find love. Can I go there to find love? And like you rightly said, can I go online? Because there are so many online platforms. And there are so many pairing sites now. Can I go into any of them to find love? Just to add up.
so that is the question on the floor. Can you go online? Yes, KT, please go ahead.
Can I go on?
Okay, Ken.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, KT's hand was up first, so after KT, then Ken will come to you.
Ella,
I was,
thank you for the
thank you for the
opportunity. I was
opportunity.
going
I was
to
going to
comment on
comment
the
on the
find love,
find
and
love, and
my
my
earlier
area
contribution was
contribution
that
was that
it doesn't
it
really
doesn't really
matter.
matter.
And I
And
was thinking that
that
as a
as a
Christian,
Christian,
you wouldn't
you
go to
wouldn't
a
go to
club,
a club,
obviously, you're not
obviously,
going
you
to
not
a
go to a
club
club
to go and
to go and
find
find
love as a
love as a
Christian. I
Christian.
mean,
I mean,
you wouldn't
you
do
wouldn't
that.
do
But
that. But
I was thinking
I was
that
thinking that
do
do
people
people
set out
set out
to go
to
find
go
love?
find
Like
love? Like
you wake
you
up and
wake up
decide,
and
yes,
decide
I'm
and say,
going to
I'm
this
going to
program,
this program,
say this
say
church
this church
program,
program,
say
say
choir day
party
program at
program at
Labone,
Labone, your
guys, you
guys,
go and
you
find
go and
love,
find love,
or
or
a
a
wedding at
wedding at
guys to go
guys
and
to go
find
and
love.
find love.
I
I
think
think
some of these
some of
things
these things
happen
happen
naturally.
naturally.
Okay,
Okay,
so you wouldn't
so
have
you
the
wouldn't
freedom
have
to
the freedom to
choose
choose
where you meet
where you meet
your love.
your love.
Okay, you
Okay,
can be
you
in a
can be in
prosky, a
a
church
church room,
and then you
and
will
then you will
join
join
probably like the would be an Adventist. Maybe she forgot her purse somewhere. You pay for her. You get talking, and later, you guys get going. Okay. So, people don't really go out to say, "I'm going to find love," because you don't know where you would meet her or him. You can meet her at some demonstration. You'll be walking and you bump into him or her. Later, you get talking and all. Okay. So that was my point about it doesn't really matter because you may not meet her at the church program, at the church event. Okay, you may meet her or him somewhere else, maybe in town. Something will happen. You bump into him or her at the mall or something. So that was my point about it doesn't really matter where you meet your love, because it may not be in the church program which you may tell them as a godly place. Okay, but obviously, as a Christian, you are not expected to go to a club to find love. So people do not really set, unless I'm wrong, but I don't think people set out or wake up and say I'm going for this program to go and find the man or the woman. Some of these things happen on its own. Naturally. So that's my point. And the bit on online dating, for me, I don't think it's proper. It's not proper. Let me go online to go and find a love. It's not proper for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, KT. Yes,
Okay.
Father, is it light charges?
Hello.
Hello.
Paco, we'll come to you.
Hello.
Let's hear Ken, and then we'll come to you.
Like I'm saying,
Yes.
like Christian, we Adventists have a mission. We are here on this planet for a mission for God. So whoever you are coming to your life is going to help you to execute that mission, the third angel's message. So marriage is not for joke, and a lot of us have gone in casually, and it has landed us in so many challenges. And where you select your partner is of great importance. Yes, if an Adventist are meeting at beach or Kanishi, under bridge or market or something, perfect. But the question is, where in the question that we are asking is limited or is very ambiguous, because as to where, church, school, camp meeting, like traveling, and that is perfect. But the focus is church. Marriage is a spiritual thing, and we Adventists have a special mission. So whoever you are bringing on board to help us to execute the mandate that God has given to us as a third angel's message, it's very, very important. So we can't jeopardize that by just choosing anybody to follow us, because you ever lead us out of the camp of God or help us to stay. And when you pick the person, because of the orientation and behavior symptoms that this morning you talk about, the foundation that the person has built over years, it will affect going forward. So we are not limiting anybody that, just be Bethel. You can go to Kumasi, Takrade, look for love, and God's going to get something who is at them. Because that's what Manoah, which is Samson's mother, he told her, so in all Israel, meaning that there's opportunity to go diaspora, or deal with that. If you're online, you can get a good Adventist online, and you can hook up with the person, then you can marry the person. But the emphasis is godly people are the focus of our discussion. Finding the person, location, I don't think can change, because the person will never be at Kanishi or maybe Accra Central. But if you get a good person who has the godly spirit, you can move on a bit. And we are on a mission as Adventists.
Thanks, Ken. Yes, Paco, is your hand still up? And then after you, Joseph.
Yes. My question is, my concern is, I don't know if we are different from other Adventist worship. That is my concern. Because from the look of things, it's like, let me put it in this way, like, Adonai said, if you are a Seventh-day Adventist and let's say you are a Ghanaian, I say
I personally, I know someone.
Finding love
Finding love
is a
is a
whole
whole
different thing
different thing
altogether.
altogether.
Someone, some
Some
people
people
different the way they
different the
do
way they do
their things.
their things.
Even
Even
now,
now,
as I speak,
there is a
there is a
7 day
Seven-Day
Adventist
Adventist
online
online
from
those people
those
in
people in
America
America
that
that
we are not
we are not
supposed to
supposed
go
to go
online to
online to
find love.
find love.
But those
But those
outside,
outside,
even though
even
they are
though they
even
are even
7 day
7 day
Adventists,
Adventists,
they are able
they
to
are able to
find love
find love
online.
online.
There's, there's a
There's a
website
website
online
online now,
which
which
7 day
7 day
Adventists
Adventists
go.
go.
It's only
It's
for
only for
7 day
7 day
Adventists.
Adventists.
You can
You can
Google it.
Google it.
7 day
7 day
Adventists,
Adventists,
they are
they are
finding love
finding love
online
online
for only
for
7
only
days.
7
Yeah, so
years.
I'm
So I'm
asking
asking
that
that
we only is
is
it
it
limited to
limited
us
to us
that
that
we
we
cannot go to
cannot go to
certain
certain,
because I
because I
know
know
of
of
friend Pops,
Pops,
he gets
he
up,
gets
goes
up,
to
goes to
parties like
parties like
weddings,
weddings,
like just
like
wants
just
to
wants
meet
to meet
people.
people.
But
But
whenever he
whenever he
meets
meets
someone,
someone,
his
his
attitude and
attitude and
approach and
approach and
everything
everything
on the
on
later
the later
ends up
ends up
when they are
when they are
Adventist in
Adventist in
places.
places.
That is my
That is my
question.
question.
All right. Joseph, let's hear you. And then we'll come to the others also. Yes, Joseph. Yeah, Joe, have you ever? After that, Elder Lawson will speak.
Elder, did you
Elder,
get
did
a
you get a
question,
question,
please?
please?
Yes, so the gist of what you said was, look, there are people who are online dating right now who are Adventists, right?
Yes.
There's even an online site for Adventists alone. So
Yes.
I think the criteria for coming there is that you must be a Seventh-day Adventist, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, good. And Alonso has a comment, and then after that, we'll share other thoughts.
I think
Elder, please say again. I didn't get the last part.
Sorry. No, so the Lawson has a comment now, and then after that, we'll hear other comments also.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I think the way we are going, we are talking about ourselves going for our choice. A contributor mentioned their marriage contract for Isaac. In that choice of going all that distance to bring a wife for Isaac, the family have made investigations. They are sure where they went for the woman is safe. We go for, whether online, whether in the church, or this, wherever we go, we will find human beings. None is perfect. What is done in the past is that parents married for their children. And it has come down now to the individual. He goes to choose. Why it's coming down, they will tell their parents and they will set up investigative machinery. The man's family will investigate the lady's family and the lady. The lady's family will as well investigate the man's family. This is no more in the system. We go for it before the parents will know that this is what is happening. The lady has picked seed. And they have to rush through wedding because there's money. So they rush through wedding. Nothing has been investigated. They are just raw. They don't know each other. And it is when you are together that yourself, your real self comes out. And that is where the real self comes out. When it starts coming out, then you start eyeing the law court for divorce. So I think what is important is both parents to investigate the backgrounds, and then we'll have, whether from another church, you can, well, we say, let me bring the lady, and then she become an Adventist or something. But it is good. We can look within the church, and we can find a bad one within the church if we don't go to do the real investigation, and we can get good ones as well. So I think we shouldn't miss that point of investigation after selection.
Thank you very much. So in all the discussions, what I want us to narrow down is this. What should be the guiding principles when we are selecting? Okay, what are some of, so when you are looking, should place be important? What other things are important that should guide us in the principles, principles that should guide us in our selection? Is place important? Should, as Elder has said, investigations, okay? What should we look out for as principles that guide us? I believe in principles, okay? Principles, because when you think about your principles, when you lay down principles, decisions, in the midst of the action, you know, the things that emotions get involved, circumstances get involved, and you could actually make a decision that is not the best decision. But if there are principles that guide you, okay, that helps you in making the right decisions almost all the time. For instance, when it comes to matters of the heart, okay, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. A man can see a woman and decide to marry the woman just because of her beauty, okay, but later you find that beauty is not everything. By that time, you would have made the decision already. Like the speaker said this morning, the lady will say that, oh, okay, you are Adventist, if you divorce me, they will sanction you, and therefore you are stuck. But if there are principles that guide you in your choice, then beauty will come in. But you know that there are other factors that go into the final decision, okay? So what are some of the guidelines? I want us to highlight these. What should be some of the guidelines that you look out for in that decision making? I believe that all the discussions so far are that place of finding a person is not very critical, in that you will go to places that you think a Christian should go. Places that you think a Christian should not go, you will not go finding love in those places. A drinking bar where people are drinking their heads off, you will not go there looking for love there. You will not go to a disco where the lights are flashing and you can't even see the person's face properly. You will not go there looking for love. Okay, so a place is not critical for me. These are my personal thoughts. Whether it's online or not, it is not very critical. There are other things that should guide in the decision as to who you should settle with. The sermon today was on foundation. What do you think are some of the key things that we should look out for that should guide us in the decisions that we make? Yes, who has his hand up? Yes, Ken. Paco, is your hand still up, or you are finished so you can lower it so that we'll see the new hands that come up?
Okay, Adam. One.
No, my hand is down, please. My hand is down.
Okay, Adam. You talk about temperament.
My hand is down.
We have heard you. Adam.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, share temperament is one of the key areas that will help you. Basically, temperament assess the level of how compatible two of you, whether choleric, sanguine, melancholic, phlegmatic, and then supine. With this will guide you to, okay, I'm extreme, I'm hot, so I need to go for a cold person so that at least we can coexist. Hot, fire. The house will be in blaze, so we'll not go for that. And health. Because if you are not healthy, but marriage is beautiful, like a Juma, it's a war of your Napom, the piano in your crisis, I'm not sure. No, sorry, no couple. No, I said, I bet you to go with them. It will be a one more day. No, be all young and sunny, subsidiary. Christ, Jesus Christ is not an idiot. You marry someone who's an idiot, you are in trouble. So get someone who is intelligent, you can process data, you can understand the environment, you can take proactive measures, and you're good to go. If you marry nada, you're in trouble. Always reactive situations will come. Because you're going to be in the day, always so I have a girlfriend, he said that if you are married to a fool, and you see a poor near Siada, he says in Ghana, bull, quite you, young fool, like you are, if you a friend, a fool is your friend. You see a poor near Siada, you are Bruno. So if you marry such a personality, you are into a mess. Okay, so we talk about temperament, health, and also ability to manage him or herself. Basic economics tells you that management of one's household. So accounts from the Greek perspective or the Latin perspective is like management of one household. So someone who is a manager, because resources are always in scarcity. So you need to get somebody who can manage little resources to benefit. So I think I'll rest on this.
All right. So Ken has mentioned a few things that, I mean, we are talking about the foundation of every home. Every marriage is at the beginning before you make that decision. Like Elder said, that Lawson said, the investigation. Okay. So in building our homes, it starts from there. The things that you look out for, the principles that should guide you, that you should have a good investigation, should understand who you are going to pair up with. And Ken has listed a few things that he thinks that are critical for you to consider. One is the temperaments, whether you are compatible with the various temperaments. He's also talked about health, whether on the health side you are compatible. He's talked about the level of intellect, the intelligence level. I mean, not necessarily education, but whether you are able to work with a person, okay, the intellect level, whether you are able to communicate at the same level. What other things do you think should be some of the guiding principles that should help us? This one, we are talking about the building of the foundation of the home. After that, we will come into, once the home has been built, and also other things that are critical. It may not be a marriage situation, but it could also be in the relationship. So, and then Ken talked about management also. Yes, Elder Lawson.
Yeah, I think the first and foremost should be prayer. We should pray for God to assist us. He will let you know where you should pass and you get the right woman or man. And then I want to explain something further in the investigations. The investigations, your parents are not going to look whether the woman is beautiful or the man is handsome. They are going to investigate the background of the family. There are families who are known to be thieves. It's in the blood. So you may go and contract it and your children will be stealing. There are people with leprosy background. There are people with all other ailments and other things that make make you a society misfit. They know all this and they will investigate it. So we need to, after we have, Ken mentioned temperament. Temperament, you know yours, but your lady, you don't know hers. And you can only get that one when you have started moving. Just courting. But it doesn't really come out during courtship. It comes out when you are now together. That you feel you can't go out, she can't go out. And then that's where the real self comes out. So we need prayer. And with this prayer, it is like the way they sent for Isaac's wife. It's involved the total marriage. they have thought about everything. The rest, God will assist, and then you too will nurture your love and let it grow together. But prayer is the key. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elder. So we have talked also, added prayer to the key things that should guide you. It is important to have prayer as the basis, even for direction as to where you should look, who you should look, and in the decisions that you make. All right. Now let's move on from there. During the week, one of the things that we talked about was communicating with grace. Communicating with grace. I don't know what you picked from that day's discussion. Communicating with grace. What does that mean for us here on this discussion? What does it mean to communicate with grace? And it's not only for married people. Even in our normal relationships, our friendships, meal to meal, our buddies at office, school, work, everywhere, and in our marriages and all relationships. What does it mean when you say communicating with grace? I'd like to hear your thoughts. I'm sure there are a number of women on this, ladies on this group. So let's have your thoughts. What does it mean to communicate with grace? What are the key things in communication, and what should we look out for in all relationships? Yes. Thoughts? Any thoughts? Any of the ladies that are online here? Okay. Now, sorry. So I'm waiting for you. What are your thoughts on communication? What did you pick from the discussions this week on communicating with grace? So should I volunteer somebody? I see a number of people on the platform who have not said anything yet. Communication. Yeah. Yes. Kwaku, what are your thoughts? What does it mean, communicating with grace? We'll hear your thoughts.
Yes, good afternoon, happy Sabbath. So my thoughts on communication with grace is trying to communicate, having the thoughts or the background that whoever I'm communicating with, or I'm portraying the life of Christ. So my conversations and my speech should be able to portray Christ in my conversation. So that is how I understand communicating with grace, knowing that whatever my actions are, my communications are, I should bear in mind that I am a representative of Christ and I should communicate like Christ.
Communication is a part of everything we do. Even in our secular world, communication in our work and all that is very important. So even in our relationship, communication plays a very important role in our relationship. And I remember, was it the first day's presentation? I picked some few ideas as to how we are supposed to communicate, not just as couples, but even as friends. That before you speak, you have to pause. And what I take from that is that when you pause, you just start to rethink of what you want to say. That assuming it's from the other side, will you be happy with whatever that you are going to say? And for me, it was very instructive. That is, we are going to say next. And I'm sure that if we do that, it will really help us. So these were a few things that I picked from communication, that whatever that we say will really have an impact on the form of relationship that we have. So we need to really think of whatever that will come out of our mouth before we bring it out, and it will really help us. Thank you.
Thanks. Now, are you kindly? I think your hand up. Now, I saw now you can raise hand up. Okay. Now, a question I want to ask: what did you think of the quotation that was made during the week? James chapter 1, verse 19. James 1:19. Let me read it. It says that, so then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. What does that mean to you as a person? What does that mean? What is the key take away from this text in terms of our relationships? We are preparing to get married, or in our normal friendships. What does this text, what is the key that we can take from this text? So, my brother, beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. It was one of the texts that I thought was quite prominent in the discussions. Yes, Ken.
The meeting I can say, Nipa, I hope to be great. Yes, said you can say, maybe a mom cocoa, how mountain, and I said, in your tree, oh, Cassam. So Cassam will soon so. A word is spoken. It has an effect. And I've come to realize that words are like seed, they never die. Whatever you say to your partner, or you say as a group or a family, go a long way to affect your life. So James, being an elder, filled the Holy Spirit, was admonishing Christians and families that let's be modest in our way we are communicating to friends and loved ones. Today, you might think that you are on top of the game. You can say anything to that young girl or that fellow in your neighborhood. Tomorrow, the tables will turn. Just Auntie Betty was saying that one family, the wife salary is down. She'll do more courses, things will change. And say, I'll not give you money, I'll not give you. Now, she doesn't need your money. You become obsolete in your own house. And that's one of the painful things in this life. That even in your own house, you become useless. Your wife doesn't see you as a husband. He hasn't seen any relevance of you because of the word that you used to say to her, or her dream, blah, 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 and all these things. And coupled with the earlier one that you said that communication with grace. You see, human beings are very, very, very troublesome. If you don't hold yourself and you say something to them, at the end of the day, it's going to have repercussions on them. Those words that you say to your partner or your children or your friends within the church, I've get parents telling their children to not marry people in the church because they are poor. And some of the young men trying to approach them, they say they are not married because you are poor. Today, if those parents see those people today, the way God has blessed them, they will gladly want to let their children marry those young men. Because 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years ago, worse, without grace attached to that, oh, we only here for we are moving here, Habasi for. But now the table have 10, the Habasi for have become 10. We have a big check to sign, and they are now well to do. So, this words we say to them, how can you go back? And I'll plead with you that it's a practical thing. We all face it in our workplaces, in our relationship with friends and loved ones. We become quite essential. Let's be modest in the way we talk to people. Issues will come, but wisdom and sobriety should guide the way we manage it. And there are lots of principles I would say, for the change. I'm Brazil, oh, and now can see. ukaka phone kyerɛ na next time aware ebi ɔno bɛ officiate ana obadi ɔno ba bɛgyina mu guy mu adeɛ menkɔ ɛbɛyɛ tracker. That's how you need to deal for the rest of your life. So let us be humble and be more modest and more careful of the way we communicate things. Even though it is distasteful to us, there's a way the Holy Spirit will help us to communicate so that we not burn bridges, but we should build bridges so for tomorrow's sake.
Thank you. So some of the things that I wanted us to highlight on in this communication here, in this particular text, there are three components that were mentioned there. Quick to hear, quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. So listening, speaking, and anger. Now these are three components in our relationships. You know, how does speaking impact our communication? How does listening impact our communication? How does anger impact our communication? And the adjectives, who are the English people here? The adjectives that are added to it, is it slow and quick? Are they adjectives? Sorry, who did English? Bethel. Okay, so the adjectives that are speaking and for anger, and then quick is for listening. I want us to discuss that, but before then, let's hear the last here.
I would say what it says self-control. You have to control yourself in these three areas. Yes, listen. I know people, whilst you are narrating something to them, they will be ahead of you. When you start, they will be adding words and even taking you off what you want to talk about. Listen, sit down and listen to what they are saying. After that, whether it is tasteful or distasteful, you will decide. And whether to get angry or remain calm, you will decide. So you need to control yourself. And we should note that there are all sorts of people with different style of communication. Some talk flat, some talk raw, and some talk words of season. So when you meet these people or these different kinds of people, you should know and expect something negative and then bring them back on track. As they go away from, you bring them back on track, that they need to go this way. If they are not accepting, silence, they say, is holy. Leave it for some time and revisit it. When you revisit, for sure, whoever you spoke to and was not listening, you will be able to see things the same way as you expect it to be seen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, any other thoughts on the role of listening in our relationships?
Yeah,
yes, please, Bernard.
Some time ago, a friend drew my attention to, and I wonder how many of us have thought about it, that we only have one mouth and 2 ears. It means the 2 ears are for us to listen and listen carefully. The one mouth is just once. But to listen, we need a double ear to listen. So it's instructed that we listen all the time and talk less. We listen before we act. And we listen before we talk. There are people that you're talking to them and they're already talking back without listening in a station. And I found something unique about him. Within 2 minutes, I said what I had to say, and he was like, And I was talking more. I realized, no, I was talking too much. He was rather listening more than he was talking. So I learned that, well, it's not about me talking and going on and on and on, but I had to listen to what he was equally saying. And he was rather listening carefully to me, and that made me talk more. So I'm thinking that with the scripture, we need to, one, let our anger die with the sun. Our anger, we should be angry, but we shouldn't sin. I mean, whatever it is, it should die with the sun. We shouldn't be carried on to the next day. We shouldn't have a book and say, okay, you did this to me today, so I recorded it. I'm transferring it to the next day. Whatever happens in the day should die with the day. Two, we should listen more and talk less. Thank you.
All right, so I was hoping that we could take them one by one. So now we have talked about listening. that we should listen twice as much as we speak. That's why Bernard is saying you have 2 years and 1 month. So we should listen twice as much as we speak. And then also, we should, I don't know if anybody has a distinction between listening and hearing, what the differences are. In the context of our relationships, okay? In a relationship, there should be listening and not just hearing. You know, you can be hearing what they are saying. We should go to it, you know. So that's a different. You know, kind of put it in Zunti, you know. So there's a difference between hearing and then listening. Listening is an active activity where you have. There are times that in our relationship, let's be honest with ourselves, in our friendships, there are people who talk too much. And so it gets to a point that you are not listening anymore, you are just hearing what they are saying, and then you are nodding to show that you are listening, but you are actually not listening. But in our relationships, it is important to listen, pay attention to what the person is saying. And it is important that if you don't think it's very important in the communication. What about speaking? It says that you should be slow to speak. Bernard has told that 2 ears for 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak. Now, what does it mean to speak? Speaking with grace. Communicating with somebody, you're communicating in a manner that they do not deserve. Okay? So that, who said it, Ken? That before you speak, I know it was Joseph, you pay attention and pause. So that whatever you are going to say, it is seasoned with salt. You are careful what you are going to say in your speech. Well, I'm talking too much. So what are your thoughts on how to speak to build a relationship? Should we speak in a manner that builds our relationship? What would be the key ingredients in our speaking and in our speech? Any thoughts? Yes, Ken?
One of the elements that you need to consider is the people around. Because sometimes, I quite remember those days when there's no, like a family, you don't have a child. And like, you come to church, someone will say, oh, what dear? So people are not modest and not conscious that, oh, there's somebody around doesn't have a child. Because all we they are all trying to move. So be conscious of the environment. Maybe an elder, you have a program you are saying, those of you have not given birth. And that statement will become so offensive to people on the other side. Or any kind for the home. Look at what our president said in Etiwa. Like, doing that, we have from a former Ghana. In your casa, as a leader, as a family head, or as a friend, now you're conscious of your environment. Consciousness, I said. Going back to retreat, I always say, words are like seed, they never die. I want to kind of say, hold on. Okay. So how do you for to the call? When I come for one call. Even the church. What country do you know? Now, how I get church, how you got for us some countries. Like, you say, sir. And the elder will be tight and everyone in his can also, so I can the implication of what you said in that program, it has gone down to break divisions in the church. So consciousness is always necessary. Because where's there? Anybody can talk. You can talk slowly, but the impact of that word is there. And there's a book that I read. It said that the characters in words, you have the attitude, the meaning, right? An arrangement. Is the characters or the attitude that you put in the statement that you are making, that makes it more dangerous. So, friends, let it be unconscious anytime you speak, because it has weight and has impact.
Yes, I see another hand, Joseph.
Yes, I was going to make a point that in speaking, the what is as equally important as the when. And I think we've already spoken about the what. Making sure that the words that will come out of your mouth will not hurt the feelings of the other person receiving the message. And I learned this when I was growing up with my father. Sometimes what you are going to tell him is very important. At the time, maybe wrong. If I had said it maybe at the time that he made it in a relationship, that the when is as equal important as what you are going to say. Is this the right time to speak? Because reading a mood, the person may not even be listening to you. The person may be hearing, as you said. It will just go through one ear and come out of the next. But the timing, maybe at this point in time, the person will be open to listen to you. So I also think that the when of the speaking is equally important as what we speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, yes, Michael.
Okay, so I think we've touched on what, we've touched on when, and I also want to touch on how. It takes a lot of maturity to listen to the content of a message without paying attention to how it was delivered or it was packaged. And so, if you are coming to tell me a truth and you speak carelessly, it can be more destructive than corrective, constructive. And so, I think the how we deliver it, how we package it, is as important as the what and also the when. And that should even be more important than, I think, both of the two. Because I've always had issues with people who come to me and then how they talk. I don't take it lightly. The fact that I've done something which is wrong doesn't mean you can talk to me anyhow. My mother doesn't do that, and I don't even allow that. And so, there
are three things that James talked about. James says that we should be we should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Now, what is the role or what is the impact of anger in our relationships? How does anger, the slowness to anger or the quickness to anger, what is the role of that in our relationships, in our whatever relationship we're talking about, whether it's marriage, friendships, or others? So, what is the role of anger in our relationships? And how does that impact it? Any thoughts? Anybody can share their experience also. Yes. It's not only Ken who is here. I can see in this auditorium, I can see Abbas, Dante is here, Bernard, Ben.
Ken is
please.
So,
and all the others.
Anger is a feedback. In communication, anger is a feedback. Whether your partner or the recipient of the information, certain things did not go well with the person, right? So it's a feedback. So once you get a feedback, how do you address it? I was sharing something with somebody that conflict management is one of the key topics that post-marriage counseling should pick it up. Because all divorce, killing, narrative start from conflict. I can't say much when you are young, what can I get on so I can I get you not assassin before the crack. Indeed, when you get anger, it's a feedback. So we go back to the drawing board and then you sit, oh, Hima, oh, Memana, as some can be when you and you, oh, I call party, you are Casa Chairman, when you and you, if you are never did parliament. What can't you pay me another only pay? What a wife and the girlfriend. If you go from back on, oh, I'm sorry. One can say, you can say the underscore from Bonicheck, but they are sure they move on. So it's a feedback. So you don't go for the move or not, on one way. It's very, 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 very bad. So once you get a feedback, you need to know what triggers that feedback and start doing the remedial steps to take away the anger. Just the Bible says you should not sleep over the anger. So as soon as you see it, spontaneously start working towards eradicating it, because it will lead to a lot of things that you cannot handle. And your children will even have effect on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other thoughts on anger? Yes, Dante, let's hear your voice. What are your thoughts? How does anger feature in a relationship? Is it good to have a little bit of anger? Be slow. It says be slow. Is it a little bit? Is it useful? What at all? Dante, after that lesson, or you want to speak for you? Yes. Okay, Dante. Let's hear you. Then elder.
I think it has been advised that angry, you should pause. But pausing is based on maturity or self-control. I put the three under self-control. So, they say anyone who can control himself is a mature person. Wise listening, and if you are paying attention, you'll be able to break what is going on down. And when it's getting too much, you start lowering your anger by controlling it within you. For all that period, you are not talking back. If it is a banter, he says, you say, he says, you say, and then now his or hers is getting more than what you are expecting. He's saying things that are hitting you directly.
Your hand will come.
Yes. But if you listen and realize that this is what he said, you have to give up. Wait. Let it go on. When no voice is coming from the other end, it will come down. I remember some time ago, I used to quarrel with my wife when I was in Morga. We quarrel a lot. Then we got to a point I decided that I'm now going to listen to her. Whatever she has, I will just listen and I won't say anything. Because I noticed that quarrel, when he comes, I'm going to tell him this, and he will tell me this. Then I go to this, he will say this, and then I go on. So I stop. Within a month, she told me, look, this time, it is not interesting to quarrel with you again. Yes, that's the solution. And it stopped a lot of things. Now, instead of quarreling, she will come and put what he wants in a quiet manner, and we discuss, and it comes to an end. So we need to control ourselves. Listen to the way the thing is going, and pull the brakes. When you pull the brakes, you won't get angry. Yes, because anger is destructive.
Dante, did you have something to say? Just I've seen your hand. We'll come to you shortly. You don't have anything to say? Okay, let's move on to Joseph. Yes, Joseph, your comments on anger.
Yes. And I think elder you mentioned, we should be slow to anger. Because even Jesus Christ
was angry at a point in time when he was here, when he realized that his father's temple was being desecrated. He got angry and he sacked them out of the temple. But there are certain anger which is very destructive, and that is what we need to guard against. And as Elder Lawson said, we need, sometimes anger is it's an expression to say that whatever that happened, you disapprove of it, you are not happy with it. But the way you control yourself, there are people who, when they get angry, they will just destroy things in their house, destroy things in their way. That is the kind of anger which is destructive, and it will really cause a mess in the relationship. So we need to be slow to anger. We need to think about whatever that we are going to say when that feeling of disapproval of whatever that someone has done to us, that urge comes. We need to control it. And when we do that, it will really help us in our relationship. And in talking, because normally, as Ken said, when you are angry, there are certain things that you say and you cannot take it back, no matter the amount or the kind of apology you give. You've already caused the mess. So it is, as we said, the Bible is full of knowledge. And that is why the admonishment for us is that we need to be slow to anger. People say that I'm quick-tempered. That is a destructive attribute as Christian. And it will also not help us in our relationship.
That you shouldn't be angry at all, because I'm thinking, if you bottle up your anger all the time, you don't react. You are always okay. Isn't it the case that one day it will be boom? There'll be an explosion. All right. Is that what we're saying? That you should be self-control. So you shouldn't get angry at all. But if you bottle things up, won't it one day explode at all? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Okay.
No, I think that is not it.
Yes.
So you should know yourself. So for example, when I am angry, I do not speak immediately. But that doesn't mean that I will bottle up whatever that I will look at it and speak out and let you know that at this point in time, what you did, I did not like what you did. But it doesn't mean that we bottle it up, because when it happens that way, it's also very dangerous, because one day all the things that you have bottled up will just explode, just like a Coke bottle, a bottle of Coke. You shake it, immediately you open it, it just spills out. That is how to look like when you bottle. You have to know when and how to hear you.
I think sometimes you can be angry, but also choose not to react on your anger. When someone does something to you, you can be very angry at the person, but also as to how you are going to react back. If you decide to use that anger, then it also becomes another problem altogether. But you can be angry at the same time and decide. I got to learn that one of my huge problems with anger was when I was playing football. Um, yeah, I mean, at home and at everything, I could walk away from some things easily. But when I was playing, because back then I was very active, playing almost every day. And when the match, I remember I was getting angry very easily. And that moment, you also try to react, and by the time you realize, you go in and get someone hurt, or even end up fighting with the person, and the game gets to a halt. So it's something that personally I've tried working on, especially when I'm playing the game. So I think yes, sometimes you can be angry, but as to how you react to using that same anger is also very key.
Good. Yes. Okay.
So,
Yes, Michael.
yes, I wanted to say anger is a natural phenomenon. Obi yɛ wadeɛ na ɛsɛ obufu a ma obumfu. Na obi oni baako ho sɛ nea woyɛɛ no m'ani angye. Oh yes, but ma obumfu. Obu deɛ ɛsɛ obufu. Sɛ ɛsɛ obufu a ma obumfu no ni baako sɛ obufu. Thank you.
Michael, that's a very serious statement.
I was watching some.
No, wait. Let's react to Michael's Chichi's play.
what's more bufu? I will do some bufu.
I find it quite interesting. So,
reality check. Bufu and bufu, but I never come with managing anger. I've done a lot of research about it. So get anger symbols. I know my chest, okay. You know, me bufu are like an image. It's like a bottle. We're turning upside down. Say, mommy, and then so this bottle is indication to you. And it gets anger venting environment. To say, yeah, put your old bottles, not with a bar. The bufu are corner can like to vent out your anger. Or you can go to a shooting range, get some nice bullet, yeah. And I said, like some maybe bottles, be old ones, and other papaya. It helps subside. To say the best starting a poisonous. Vent it out by choosing a symbol. And I told the baby, know that when I said, now, like small ball, you know, to borders and I say, it helps you bring it down. They are all here, and if I did a one, the canipa can say the mayor. Now more near bounds. So, Adam, fast forward into the future and into the church. They are also successful. You are frank, you are Yeremo. Send them both no child, that's one. You will see no sort of kind of war. Maybe I know who can assume to a father, but just kind of war. In the way they are any personal feelings. The way I tell you, when you chance, you will eliminate me. Until you begin one Jones or China 17. And then you go to Krana, Mark Markov. And just Nipa the Emerald from Yas. Nyansa, Ninja, Yamama Chess. BBC, it then portray your first kind of casting. Nipa and Yamaka. Do not portray no one who conquered you and said, Asia said, be slow. And then it speed up the reaction. And it says life is 10% cost and 90% reaction. Can we acquire how many acquire? Or talk a manslaughter. Many acquire, yes, call. Can a guy only do what woo? Can I do what I should, and this one come in and make a charge? So, reactive to the situation is very, very, very unsensible. But let it go and pick an appropriate means to address the matter. And I think African, they are wounded, and I guess when you do. And as Moody as some of the youth are yet, Roma can't tell but pass your dean or bad of Pecasa. And I see that strange culture in Africa. The wounded soul is the one who's being forced to accept injustice as against justice. So maybe another platform, let's address it.
Okay. Yes, go. Yes, okay, so we have Bernard and then go.
I don't agree with his first part of the.
His submission, the way to manage anger.
The one about throwing the bottles. You're angry, you get bottles to throw to show your disapproval or your anger. Then forget it. The next time when you don't get the bottles, whoever is in front of you, you kick that person. Because you've been practicing for a while. The next time when those bottles are not around, you have a person, you have a gun. That nearest object in front of you is a human being. You take a gun and shoot the person. So please, that one I beg to differ. Thank you.
All right. So maybe it's important that we actually, like the Lord said, we have that self-control and find ways of venting it out. Because if you vent it out by aggressive action, I believe that, like Bernard said, if the avenue for that aggressive reaction is not available, you could end up somewhere else. So we should rather learn, like the Lord said, learn the art of self-control as opposed to aggressive venting of anger. Yes, yeah.
The Bible says, be angry, but do not sin. Which means God knows we can get angry. He has made provision for it. But he says, control it. So if we need to control, and we know how we are, how our temperament, we start praying, we go to him and pray that he will take it away. I knew a couple. Anytime the wife gets angry, whatever is in her way, she will throw it. She ever threw a pressing iron towards the husband. He dodged and it ended the television. You can see two distractions. The iron is spoiled, the television is spoiled. So how long will you be destroying your property if you say you can't change? So there's a need, even though God has given us the right to get angry. Yes, it vents out what you have heard, it brings it out. But at least you need to control it. If you are not able to control it, you end up being poor. Because supposing you are driving and your partner just annoys you, would you climb the middle portion and hit the middle of this? Yeah, you hit it and then you cross because you are annoyed. You can do anything. So we need to control it. Thank you.
Yes, go.
Yes, I agree with Chichi. In a sense, you see, but the caveat is exactly like Elder said, that before is natural, it's normal, but how you handle it, how you approach it, and that is where we as humans sometimes fall short. And expressing we go for no. Sometimes you go overboard. Now, after you end up after the justification for no, then it's gone. So, in as much as naturally you go for no, the key thing that we need to take home is how you manage your food, what you do in the moment of no. That is the most important thing. But in all of these things, one thing that we should note is that we need God to be able to help us. Natural human beings always tend to be violent when they are angry. But then you need the Spirit of God to be able to prompt you. There are times that you even start saying things or doing things before you realize that, hey, me are sorry penny, or you are this. Before you then you started saying things already. So we should always pray that the Spirit of God will prompt us and remind us of these things that we are saying. It's easy to say it, but sometimes unconsciously you realize that you've started doing the same things that you've said you don't need to do before you realize it. So we need to continue to pray for the Spirit to be prompting us all the time that we need to do this.
Somebody's comment is what? Master, why Penny and not what? Not the youth leader. Yes, so thanks for those comments. I want to wrap up by 5 o'clock. So my final question I want to ask is, in every relationship, there's conflict and there are bound to be conflict. How do we manage these conflicts? That's my question. Because whether it's in a marriage, in a friendship, there will definitely be conflict. We are different people. How do we manage these conflicts in our relationships? Any thoughts? What are some of the key guidelines, guiding principles that should help us in the management of conflicts within our relationships? Yes, conflicts. Yes. Any thoughts? How do we manage conflicts, disagreements, different points of opinions? How do we manage these? Yes, Elder.
In time of conflicts, it looks like two cars heading towards each other, and you run headlong into each other. What do? I have my way. I have my right of way, so I'll go. You all end up dying. So it is advised that one makes a fool of himself
Which one?
Any of you, maybe I am in my right of way and you are coming. I should give you the benefit of the doubt that there's something wrong with you. That's why you are coming my way. So I should run to the road shoulder.
Is it a problem that if I'm always the one giving you the way, then you think now, that there's a wrong way?
You continue to save lives until he or she also realizes that it is fruitless to do what he's doing. Like I said, in my me and my wife's case, when I adopted that system, now she changed. She won't start shouting because I won't join her. So she finds a way of coming to discussion table and then we'll go about it and then solve it. Even if he's getting angry, he stops somewhere. So it is it can be anyone should try and make a fool of himself to end it. And when you have made a fool of yourself, later you let the person know that, well, it is not that I can't stand you, but I don't want us to create a scene all the same. And then on a lower tone, you can solve your problems. But when we all want to, we will run headlong and die. Thank you.
I think Mrs. Odu said something during the. I've been for Bibishia, so what being? I'm smapping Bibishia, But in conflict resolution, somebody said that one of the key things is for you to accept that there's a conflict. That we should both agree that we have a conflict. Now, you're on this side and I'm on this side. Okay, so there is no unanimity. We are not unanimous on this point. Then you can begin to even resolve the conflict. What about pushing it under the carpet? When an issue comes up, okay, no, let's not discuss it. And then you push it under the carpet. When you do that, then the conflict will not be resolved. Because if you push it under, it will by all means one day come up. And therefore it is important that we don't push the conflict aside. But first we acknowledge that indeed there is a conflict. We are two divergent views, we are on different sides, and therefore we don't have one agreement. And then don't push it aside, but also address it. But the problem is when it comes to addressing the conflict. Elder, I tend to have a little concern about what they said about one making themselves a fool. I don't want to be the fool all the time. So unless we agree that, okay, anytime we have a conflict, I'll be the fool, and the next time you will be the fool. But otherwise, it's going to be a problem. If I'm always going to be the fool on one side, that's why it will not work.
No, but I gave my example, and it worked. Now, when you start the shouting, I'll keep quiet. I read it somewhere that we know when we are really in love, we whisper. We whisper our words. Do we hear it? When we whisper, I love you, doesn't your partner or your spouse hear it? But what happens, and then we start shouting, because that love, that attachment has been broken. Even if you are sitting next to each other, in your mind, you find yourself very far. So you are communicating to somebody who is far away from you, meanwhile you're sitting by you. So it looks like some sort of madness, casual madness. So we need to work on that casual madness. When we take it that way, we need to take it and then reduce it. It's not an easy thing, but with God, all things are possible.
Okay. Joseph's hand is up. We will take Joseph and then come to the church. Ken. Yes, Joseph.
Yes, Elder, I think a key point to managing conflict, I choose to call it disagreement, is making sure and realizing that indeed there is a problem. And I'm happy you made that point, because if you don't tackle that disagreement now, it will very easily head in the near future. Now, the other point is compromise. The people involved in the disagreement or the conflict, all of them have different opinions, and that is why there's that disagreement. And certainly there will need to be a compromise somewhere. And therefore, all of us should not still insist that whatever that brought about that conflict, my opinion should still stand. Certainly there should be a compromise, and when that happens, it will be easier to resolve whatever disagreement that exists. Thank you.
I think that, so that's what Alonso was also saying, that we should make a fool, but not necessarily you being all the fool all the time, but that there should be some compromise. That anytime we agree that we have a conflict, we agree that we will address it. But in addressing the conflict, we should also have in mind, at the back of our minds, that in any conflict that we have, we should be ready for compromise, and not always insist on having everything your way. Otherwise, we won't have any solution to the conflict. Yes. Okay.
I would say, you see, managing conflict, the persons that you are involved realize there's a problem, so there's a solution. Going forward, do you have the capacity to solve the problem? That's what sometimes you fail to address. So as someone will catch you, maybe one draining answer fast as you can seek counsel. Because Proverbs says that in the multitude of counsel there is safety. The other catch on them, I mean, a year to be disability. Once so no sooner by him, or one advisor, or go implement it. Once I bounce it back to your wife, then affects you. It will be so maybe my saying. I have my guess in the BPR. In the wrong solution. In the other, one of the elements of managing conflict is that does the two of you have the capacity to bring out solution that will be amicable and give a lasting solution? If you don't have, then seek a third eye. Maybe a lawyer be this and this and this. So and Yeshua say, when I ever pay him, I do dear to assassin what the dear but to brand the fuck on so. When you say yeah, but about Yeshua, so I to assassin to be out court. Ne assembly when you tell the one your wife, but to say Yeshua. What was I asked me to gain pound? I dare have said my media. What is that? Management of conflict. Yes, some at that border. You won't to be said to be solved. You won't do to me. I was here, and you're going to share counsel. Said your money said you counsel, or counsel. I just said you are madam. Can I have an argument cost routine and go counsel? That you might be dear when you know, as some question begging. Now the board, but you know, a consultancy. More yet be no money, some question will be on one. Such now already, it's a company. We need the capacity to solve what is at stake. Look for solution outside. But guess what? Nyamia Marasu answer. Once you see the temple, and that's all sure. Nyamika Chiramus won't call Lebanon for men who are crafted in woodwork and metal. They were not Israelis to come and solve the problem in the temple. If you swear, said okay, the point is we should major in major and minor in minor. But then the other wife has seen so I say we cry and then I go ahead. And before my wife I brought to pom. And when I came I brought to pom. Say yes I'll major in major, I'll minor in minor. Say a major thing a important on salvation and our life and our repercussion. Quickly no my pet a home commodity. Near dress my panic, so many my bonny and my panic, so no, I am a man who say, win, and yet. Now, the major and minor. Okay, I can have plate, I say, and I'm going to know between which I cannot put any issues. Plenty of pine, I say, you choose to get out to plate the better. And you do about these are minor issues. In reality, and no one you flare up. It's a minor issue. Critical issues and more doubt, more health, more retirement. What's that? Maybe I'm going to track massing. Also, we call retirement a better cry. I had conflict. And someone tells me, so there are health implications. They walk around and so I say, and that one, oh, until be, I can't come up, but in the second year, food, it's your quick grass, and crashing a bed, and the bed about wedding, by SMS, and then to come about what was an area, and you choose in between Kumasi, you may continue to do back cry easy, Miss McCoy, for my easy, your core retirement, a very easy amount, yeah. Yet me, but I've been born and I need tea for me, it's a child that I've been a channel. Your conflict management, I mean, any active home, and one, instead of being a fan of the platform, Yenya or Pepamo Bia, Senior Pepama and Wilma, Yak Canon, they said, do I want you watching? And I'm musician to the in a munition, but to go back of a no, you know, Cassia, now can take another money.
Thank you very much. It's 5 o'clock, and so as you said, we'll end around 5. But there are a lot of people on this call have comments for all those who have not said anything at all. This is your time to say something. The discussions so far, what are your takeaways? What are your points? Are there any other issues that you want us to raise maybe at another forum? And then we can bring it up and then have another discussion. So we'll go around. There's a comment on the page. We'll go around and then we'll take the final comments. Yes, please read it for us. It says that be careful who and where you seek counsel from. Try every means to resolve it yourselves. It should be from a godly person if it becomes necessary. And I think that's a very important point here. In conflict resolution, we shouldn't be too quick to take our matters out there to other people. As much as possible, let us resolve our issues within ourselves. I think that one of the key things that we have mentioned in the management of conflict is that one, we should acknowledge that there's a conflict or a disagreement. We don't have we have not agreed on one point. And then two, we should decide that we are going to resolve it. We should come to the table to have a resolution. We have also said that in the resolution, we should be prepared and willing to compromise. If we come to a discussion table with a firm ground that we are not going to budge, then there won't be a resolution. But rather, we should also be mindful and be willing to have a compromise position where we can have a resolution to the matter. And when in extreme cases where it is damaging and it's going to ruin the relationship or even your future matters, then you may want to bring in a third person. But even then, as has been said, you should be very, very mindful of who you bring into your matters. We should be careful who we are choosing to discuss our matters. And that should only be on very rare occasions. These are my thoughts. That on very rare occasions that you bring third persons into your farm or into your home to resolve your matters, even if they are Suffolk or whoever it is, professionals. You should be mindful and very careful who you bring into your own matters. Okay. So are there any final comments on this discussion before we bring the curtains down? The next 2 minutes. If anybody has a question, a comment, a contribution, we'll take that and then we can bring our discussions to an end. Any thoughts, comments, questions? In the next 2 minutes. Otherwise, we'll bring the curtain down. Those of us here at the church, any comments? Okay, I don't see any hands there. Who is this dot? Beryl. Yes. Okay. So a suggestion for our next meeting will be what causes conflicts, sources of conflicts, and then maybe we can delve deeper into the discussions around conflict and conflict resolutions. Yes. Please let's take note of that, and then we'll put it as part of the items to be discussed at some other forum. Are there any comments in the chat box? Oh, okay. So in the absence of that, I'd also will ask you to pray to bring our discussion to a close. Yes, we've tried. She's on the call. We've tried to reach her, but unfortunately, we've not been able to get her through to her. She indicated she had another appointment. I don't know whether that has taken her attention from here. But we'll try. Once we're able to get hold of her, we'll arrange so that we can have another one time with her. Okay. All right. So we'll need you to pray with us. Those of us in the church auditorium, maybe we can stand. We've been sitting for too long. Those of us joining us from our homes, you can also stand with us, and then we'll pray.
Our God and our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for a day well spent with you, and also bringing the week-long celebration to an end. Father, many are the things that have been shared with us. We ask that you give us the enabling spirit to adapt what we are lacking and drop off what is not good in our lives. We can on our own not do it. It is only with your support, the Holy Spirit, that will lead us to be able to transform our homes. We invite you to continue dwelling with us and correcting us, so that to be a way of preparing us as a family, getting ready to meet your Son when he should come the second time. This we ask through Christ Jesus' name with thanksgiving. And as we depart from here, let us not depart from your presence, but take us home safely. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all very much for joining the discussion today, and have a good evening.
Great.